Hey sleepers, and welcome back to Cuddles R Us. So today we're going to be diving into the massive, and I do mean massive, 1.1.10.0 patch for Dune Awakening, released today on July 2nd, 2025. Now, this isn't just a balance pass. This update includes new features, exploit fixes, UI improvement, vehicle changes, bug fixes, and important quality of life upgrades for veterans and new players alike. So I'm going to break it all down for you, and there's a lot to cover. So if you guys do get something from this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications to become part of our community. But until then, let's hop right into it. So for the first section here, I'm going to highlight some of the changes that I noticed that were pretty notable. So first, the sandworms are now going to linger around the spice fields after harvesting. So that's going to make the deep desert even more dangerous. This kind of adds a risk reward factor to post harvest looting. So make sure when you're getting spice, you're getting down there, grabbing it, and going. It is going to be more difficult now because those worms are going to be more aggressive. So definitely keep an eye out for them. Also, the faction-based attack frequency has been turned down. Harkonnen and Atreides are not going to be hammering each other constantly in the Haga Basin, so making base defense, it's going to be a little less overwhelming and more tactical in the long run. Also, there were a couple major exploit fixes. There was an exploit where people could get free durability repairs. That has now been fixed. There was also another exploit where people could take resources and duplicate them. That has now been patched and you can no longer do that. And vehicles can also not slip through the pentashields anymore. So if you are falling victim to that, it is finally patched and you're good to go. Now, there was also for streamers out there, streamer mode did just get a little smarter. The map creator's name and sector names in Deep Desert are now hidden to protect privacy. Now, there's also item trading that was added through Ornithopters. That's something I wasn't quite aware of that was coming, so I'm kind of interested to see how that works. So basically, you're going to be able to list and claim items from your Ornithopter's vehicle inventory, and that's going to be perfect for deep desert logistics. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that all works in the long run. So jumping into our next section, I'm going to talk about the features and the changes. So there were some technical and stability improvements. The Play Now button now filters out private servers, and if you happen to die offline from a Coriolis storm, you will now respawn properly in the Haga Basin. Also, trading post checkpoints can now act as respawn points across maps, so that will help with the logistics of travel a bit. Also, an important note, Intel Arc users, graphical bugs like triangular sand patterns have now been fixed by updating to driver version 32.0.101.6793. So make sure you go update that if you were experiencing issues. Also, there were some crafting and construction tweaks. New weapon schematics have been added to Harco vendors, so if you are Harkonnen, make sure you go and check those out. Also, Vehicle Backup Tool and Solito Replicator can now be crafted at the Survival Fabricator, improving solo recovery and construction efficiency. Also, improved building placement logic, projection visuals, and pentashield clarity when snapping or overlapping has been completed. Also, one that was really interesting to me is the fact that looting feels more intuitive. Empty loot bags now disappear when you take that final item, and the most important to me is the take all and UI interactions with containers have been improved and debugged. If you are a loot hoarder like I am, where you're always hitting that take all, I'm sure you've noticed that it does bug out sometimes and you're not able to literally take all from the containers. So that should be debugged and we'll have to see how much it has improved. Our next section here has to deal with combat and abilities. So combat VFX and mechanics. So now the parrying with swords now shows multi-target stagger effects, making it visually clear in team fights. Also, improved dagger animation so stabs actually connect with the other player, as well as buff and debuff icons are now more readable, especially under pressure of those big fights. Also, balances and fixes. Underslung weapons are disabled for vehicle passengers, and melee no longer crits, so builds will shift slightly. Also, fixed issues with NPC behavior with blocking, poise resist stacking, and animation syncing to make it look a little more natural. Also, there was an abilities overhaul. Suspensor Dash now costs 20% of max power, scaling better with power pack tiers. Also, Thrive on Danger nerfed from 50% to 34% poise resist, preventing unbreakable tanks. Also, tooltips now more accurately describe ability effects, including for range damage and poison tooth. Finally, Weirding Step and Gravity Fields now also reflect their impact on player stamina, allowing for more tactical control during heavy fights. Now, I haven't had a lot of experience with the PvP end, so if you have and you've noticed, how these are going to affect the game now, if you could drop a comment below and kind of explain it to me a little bit. Like I said, I am not a huge PvP person who have had a lot of experience in that. So I can tell that Thrive on Danger, for example, being nerfed from 50% to 34% is a pretty big difference. But I didn't really get to experience any of these. So if you have, let me know what you think. For our next section here, it's all about vehicles. So ground vehicles and ornithopters, they got a little bit of love as well. So there was improved collision when flipping or being kicked by a sandworm. That has been changed. Also, boosting camera angles and turret visibility has been cleaned up, and ground vehicles now have a failsafe to unflip themselves just a little bit more reliably, so nobody's getting stuck on their back. Also, Scout Ornithopters in Vulture mode just got a speed boost. So if you trade cargo space for extra thrusters, you'll outrun almost everything in the desert. A smart move for scouts and solo spice runners, so keep that in mind if you're out exploring alone. Also, entering vehicles is now easier from different angles, so no more weird repositioning just to get in your vehicle. Honestly, I don't know how many times that I have been on the sand harvesting spice and that worm starts to come, and I try to jump in my ornithopter only to find out that I cannot get in because of, I can't get the thing to pop in order for me to enter. So I'm kind of jumping around, gives me a little bit of a heart attack, but hopefully that'll now be fixed. So, our next section here is all about the world building and exploration. So, the world did just get a little deeper. Just like we talked about earlier, sandworms now behave more organically, and they're going to be sticking around those spice fields a little longer. So, make sure that if you are gathering spice, you get down there, you collect that spice, and you get out of dodge real fast so you don't fall victim to that sandworm. Also, improved collision and NPC pathing in dozens of locations has happened, especially Haga Basin and the Deep Desert. Also, secret hatches, ledges, and misaligned scenery now should work properly. Also, tons of cinematics have gotten updated. Fewer T poses, camera jitters, and weird cutscene moments should be happening a little bit less. Lighting in places also like the wreck of Hephaestus and Carthage have been optimized for better atmosphere. Finally, contracts like looking for leaders and making a martyr were rebalanced or fixed, and world objects like stuck assets, broken loot containers, and floating platforms should have been adjusted. Our next section here is all about the audio and visual things that have been changed. So, sound enhancements, the Sandstorm and Blood Purifier sound design has been improved, and the weapon effects are now more distinct in enclosed spaces, so it will sound a little bit different. You'll notice that. Also, Ornithopter engine volume has been reduced, so finally, no more blasting your eardrums every time you get in and out of your Ornithopter. Also, the graphics and effects, there has been better muzzle flashes and rocket visuals added, fixed color and shading on armor, capes, and NPCs, and it has been optimized LODs, reflections, and lighting transitions in multiple zones as well. Also, the visual storytelling is cleaner, crisper, and more immersive. From lip syncing to cloth physics to ambient effects, all of it has been tweaked, so make sure you keep an eye out for those changes. The next section that I'd like to cover is about user interface and systems. So, the UI enhancements. Key binding options for exiting, climbing, vehicles, and looting have now been added individually, and new icons for slaver stillsuits, sub-thief consoles, and more have been added as well. Also, there has been improved menu logic, so tutorial pop-ups don't trap you anymore, and the contract and guild UIs just got streamlined. Also, tooltip and keybind visibility are more accurate and persistent. Also, server transitions, travel confirmations, and respawn options are now more informative, especially for party and guild management, so keep an eye out for that. So we have officially made it to our last section. Congratulations to those who have hung on this long. Like I said, this was a massive update. So this section is all about bug fixes. Now, there were dozens of fixes, maybe even hundreds. Instead of going over all of them individually in here, that would likely make this video go from, around 12 minutes to like 50. I'm going to put the link down below in the description to the list of the actual patch notes so that you can read through those if you so choose. But just kind of an overview. Some of the fixes include server crashes, input bugs, UI lockouts, vehicle clipping, stuck spots, audio cutouts, just you name it. There's a ton. Also, if you have had some issues with vehicle flipping, deep desert transfers, or combat rubber banding, they've likely been addressed here as well. And UI elements like crafting bars, skill tree respecs, inventory favorites, and virtual keyboards now all behave as expected. So this patch also corrects map marker visibility, cutscene subtle accuracy, wrong icons, and many minor layout and interaction bugs that players have reported over the last month. So if you notice those bugs, make sure you use that report feature. The devs obviously are fixing things as they come up, but like I've said in previous videos, they can't fix something they don't know about. So make sure you are reporting any bugs that you do find. So that pretty much wraps up everything in patch 1.1.10.0 for Dune Awakening. Definitely one of the biggest updates yet. So let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite fix or feature? Are you loving those new Ornithopter mechanics? Or are you kind of glad that those exploits are gone? Or are you even still waiting on new PvE content? So if you did like this video and it did help you a little bit, please remember to click that like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications for more Dune content, patch breakdowns, and gameplay tips. We love having you part of our community. So thanks for watching, Sleepers, and I'll see you in the deep desert. Bye, guys!